this visit holds a lot of relevance in terms of the relationship with the United States, in terms of the Indian diaspora's confidence in the Prime Minister of India. To discuss on the same, we have an esteemed panel of guests today who would discuss at length all the details about the life in Kashmir, the abrogation of Article 370, the confidence the Indian diaspora has now, and the preparations that are underway for September 22nd, that is for the Howdy Modi event in Houston, Texas, then September 27th for the UN address by the Prime Minister, and of course in between days. To begin with, I would like to welcome our esteemed guest. First of all, Mr. Ashwin Johar. Ashwin ji, namaskar. Ashwin ji is the Central Committee member of the Overseas Friends of BJP and is a very active Karyakarta of the BJP. Our second guest is Dr. Archana Kokroo. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Welcome, Archana ji. Dr. Kokroo is a practicing physician here in USA, and she had been the victim of the Kashmir exodus. Way back in 1990, she was forced to leave Kashmir due to all the militant acts that were taking place there. She has a great story, long story, and a sad story to share, which we will discuss today. Who stayed in the beautiful heaven on earth for years, and then everything got destroyed and changed. So Archana ji, Dr. Archana, please throw some light on your life when you were in Kashmir, first of all, and tell us something about yourself, where you come from. Then we will take on to other questions as well.
Thank you, Jyotsna ji, and thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to say my story, which we have basically been silent for the past 30 years, and now we are all getting an opportunity to come in public and share the pain that we have passed through in the past 30 years. So yes, my name is Archana. I live in the United States for the past 20 plus years now. I come from Srinagar, and I was born, brought up, educated in Srinagar, and I left Kashmir on that very gruesome January 1990, which I'm going to be talking about in detail. So our life in Kashmir until those years were comfortable as any kid or young adult would have. We went to school, we had friends, and we celebrated our traditions along with our Muslim friends, and everything was fine until I would say 1985, when we saw an uptick in the Islamization of the state. So we would see more prayers being done in the streets, more holidays, more protests and stuff like that. Still, nothing changed. From 1985 to 1989, we're still going to our college. I was in med school. And so 1989 was a year when we saw an escalation, amazing escalation in the violence in Kashmir, where until now people were protesting probably against the political systems and whatever not, but now they were targeting the Kashmiri Pandits. So in 1989, what happened is that prominent Kashmiri Pandits were targeted, killed. They were abducted, tortured, people were raped, and so on and so forth. So in fact, yesterday only we were observing the Kashmiri Pandit Martyrs Day, when one of our prominent leaders, Shri Tiglal Tapalu, was killed in his home on September 14th. And so with that, what happened is that after that was September, after that, many prominent minorities, including some Muslims, they were targeted and they were killed. So with that, we start with the abduction of Rubia Sayed, who was abducted in December, and after that, the valley just turned into a very chaotic place. After that December month, the valley was basically dark. There were curfews, there were so many demonstrations and stuff. Then coming to 1990, when basically the exodus happened, there were 3 nights, January 19th, 20th, and 21st. Those were the nights when we call them the gory nights of Kashmiri Pandits, which I don't think Kashmiri Pandits will ever forget in their lives. All of us who have witnessed those 3 days still remember them.
Very sad.
We have goosebumps when we even now remember or even think about those days. So what happened is that until then, the terroristic network had been kind of escalating their activities, and there were, like I said, curfews and clampdowns and killings and whatever, bomb blasts. So for those a week before that, I guess the local government thought that it was better to put the state under curfew, and so for a few hours of the day we would go to our normal routine.
Right.
I would go back to the hospital. It was getting harder and harder by the day to actually go out. So we, after a couple of days of chaos, that January 19th night, we all are sitting at home, and suddenly the lights go off. So the valley isn't dark. At least I know that it is dark because we called our relatives. So
Right.
everything was dark except for the mosques.
Wow.
From the mosques, there were loudspeakers and slogans were broadcast. And they were like, and I'm going to speak in Kashmiri here.
Sure.
And they were like, Reliv, Saliv, ya Galiv. That means that either join us, or run away, or we'll kill you.
Oh my God.
Or
this is too
the
sad.
other slogans were Asnimo Kashir Batnev Sud the Batav Ros. So means that we will take Kashmir with all the ladies, but we'll kill, or
Oh my
the men
God.
have to leave.
Oh my God.
Or they would also, these are the slogans, they will be like, Ye to kya chale? Nizam-e-Mustafa, means that there's going to be a Sharia law here, so non-Kashmiris, believers cannot live here, or they have to join us. Or, kafirs leave the state. So these were being broadcast. There was a drumbeat of these slogans surrounding us. And we were holed up. We were holed up, trapped in our own homes. All the Kashmiri Pandits, they had basically darkened there, like the windows were covered and stuff, so that people wouldn't really think that we were inside. They knew we were inside.
Right.
But we just pretended that we were not. That didn't really matter. We knew that if they wanted to, they would just come in and massacre us like within
Right.
seconds.
Right.
And so that night of January 1990 was the night that Kashmiri Pandits had to decide something. We were not in the numbers that we could really defend ourselves. There was no help coming from the state government. So we were pretty much on our own, and we were not armed, so we couldn't even kill a person or two. We were just, as you would say, nihatte. We were sitting there. So then we had to think. Now when people say today that, oh, Kashmiri Pandits left, we did not leave. We were forced to flee. For our lives, not only lives, for our honor. The ladies of the house were scared that, what is going to happen to them? Would they be raped, killed, whatever? There had been instances where, and multiple of them, where ladies were abducted, raped, and then cut into bits and pieces and thrown in garbage bags.
Oh my God.
There
That's
was
too
a
sad.
lady who was chainsawed into two, and her body was thrown away. And there have been multiple, and these are facts which people can dig from, the newspapers of 1990, that how many people, hundreds of people, Kashmiri Pandits, and some of Muslims and other religions, Sikhs, were massacred. Villages were massacred. So this is the environment that we were living in, and the day of that January 1990, the 19th January, the Kashmiri Pandits had to decide if we want to live or we want to just be killed.
Right.
And so we left, we fled. And after we fled, there was silence in the rest of India. No one knew who we were, no one knew why we are there, and no one knew about hundreds of thousands of Kashmiris. Per official records, there were about 400,000 Kashmiris who fled Kashmir.
God. 400,000?
400,000. The official number is about 350 to 400,000. We think that's much more, but I don't want to dispute the official number. If we put it at 350 to 400,000, the mass migration happening from January to June, that's 6 months in 1990, was not visible to the rest of the world.
And nobody said anything?
No, there was no coverage in the newspaper. The central government at that time did not have a word to say about that.
Who was the central government?
I think it was probably, was it?
It was, I think, Vishwanath Pratap Singh's government.
VP Singh.
Yeah.
It was VP Singh's government, and but even the oppositions at that time, Congress being the majority at that time, it was opposition.
They did not raise
no
any
one,
issue.
no one talked about it. It was like almost like sometimes I think that that Gandhiji's three bandars, they had decided, hear no Kashmiri Pandit, see no Kashmiri Pandit, and talk about no Kashmiri Pandit. That was the slogan at that time. So that was our plight when we left Kashmir.
And you left everything, your property, your
obviously,
things,
I mean,
your
we left
belongings.
in the dark of the night. I mean, this is my story. I left January 21st. And the way I left is that when these things were happening, we were, my sister and her friend, they were like hidden in a shed outside.
Right.
It was January, it was cold.
Right,
Like
It
we
was
have
very
cold, it was
indeed.
extremely
Yes.
cold. And my parents thought that, even if the jihadis came and they killed us, that's
Right.
fine. But they didn't want the daughters to be,
Absolutely.
mishandled.
Oh my
So
God.
every household had to take a decision, like what to do with their lives and how to protect the honor of their children, their daughters particularly. So at that time, my parents had to take a hard decision. My father approached a Muslim friend who was a
Right.
moderate
Right,
and said to him that I need to get my daughters out of here.
right.
And his friend graciously, and I have to be grateful to him, said, don't worry, I will send you my car. And that was January 21st. And he said, because the curfew is lifted at 1 o'clock, the car will be at your doorstep at 1:15. Make
Right.
sure your daughters take nothing with them. I will drop them at the airport and the rest is their problem.
Oh my God.
And that's what we did. We packed nothing. I packed a couple of clothes, my stethoscope, that was very important to me,
Absolutely.
and a book, medicine book, Davidson. That was all that was in my suitcase. And we left. On our way to the airport, we ran into a mob which was attacking UN.
Right.
And they were throwing kangris and stone pelting, and there were a couple of shots being fired. And this driver of ours, I have no idea how he navigated and got us out of that mob. He dropped us at the airport, and the rest of the 30 years we have been living to reconstruct our lives. The others who left, some left by, they had to get trucks, they had to get on the top of the buses.
Right.
Some got taxis, some got whatever they could get, like any mode of transportation. They just wanted to save their lives.
Very, very sad ordeal.
Yeah.
Long journey.
And then there was no arrangements anywhere, because it's not that someone was welcoming us
Right.
on the other side. We all landed up, we landed in Delhi, but majority of the Kashmiris landed in Jammu.
Right.
There was no arrangements in Jammu. We just went to the temples there and just, kind of camped ourselves there. Eventually, I think that the government realized that there's going to be this mass exodus. They had to do something about it, us. So they gave us some tents, and this is
That's where the
January,
refugee
the month
tents
of January. It is freezing cold, and we have nothing. We don't have blankets.
Right.
And we have to be grateful to a few people at this time, the governments of some of the states which were BJP led.
Right.
They send their volunteers, they send us blankets, they send essential supplies, and Babasaheb Thackeray, and I'm almost like getting emotional about it, he opened his organization to help us. And we know that in India it is, or it is not sometimes correct, to be politically correct, sometimes you have to omit saying certain things. But I'm proudly saying that we are grateful to BJP. We are grateful for their help, because if it was not for their help, we would probably not have survived. They opened their states for not only helping us with food and supplies. That's not important. What they did is that they accommodated our children, our youngsters in their colleges.
Right.
And for Kashmiri Pandits, education is the jewel. We
Very good.
don't have
Absolutely.
so much.
We see you here. You are a physician here in the United States, which is a very tough job, thing to achieve. It's very tough to practice here. When you come from India, there's a very different set of tests and everything that you have to undergo, all the examinations. Then you attain these degrees. So we understand your journey has been really, really strugglesome. Lot of things.
Yes, it has been, but I'm still one of the lucky ones. I've had friends who have had to undergo much harsher.
Absolutely.
Last 30 years.
So we will come back on all those things also, Dr. Kokroo. Of course, this is an account, directly from a person who has stayed there as a Kashmiri Pandit and what all happened. Now you heard that. Now I will connect you with Dr. General Bakshi to know more about the armed forces role and how they have witnessed the first-hand account of the active militancy and terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. General Bakshi. Yes. General Bakshi, now actually we are discussing about, we had a long detailed information from Dr. Kokroo about her stay in Kashmir, being a Kashmiri Pandit, and how they were forcefully exiled in 1990. So now we want to know from you, who has devoted his whole life in the, in the service of the nation, your first-hand account of Jammu and Kashmir when you have been there, and how all this happened, and what do you feel with the current scenario of Article 370 and 35A being abrogated? General Bakshi, please throw some light on that.
Look, let me qualify at the outset. I was born in Jammu. I served more than half my military life fighting there. So, I can claim to know that Jammu and Kashmir and its strategic backdrop, I think more or less like the back of my hand. One of the facts that I would like to highlight, I could not unfortunately get the audio of the other two speakers, that is Ashwin and Archana.
Okay.
But let me tell you one thing. As far as the ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandit, it amounts to rank genocide. In Slovakia, in the former Yugoslavia, people like Shalabh are suffering lifetimes in jail for such a crime.
Right.
In India, unfortunately, we tried to, the previous governments tried to hide this, brush it under the carpet, under the very specious argument that it would somehow hurt our secularism, to know that, the Hindus of Kashmir had been, genocide had been committed against them. Their women had been raped, their temples burned, their schools destroyed, and 450,000 driven out of the valley. For the last 30 years, they haven't been allowed to go back. When we tried to send some small batches back, they shot them up at Nandi Marg and Mandana, the massacres. Everybody knows about those massacres. Until recently, they were insisting that if the Pandits want to come back, they will have to come back without security, go back to the houses they were kicked out from, and in most cases, those houses have been taken over by their neighbors.
Right.
It is an amazing state of affairs. We all thought that it needed, a government had to enforce the rule of law. But we tried to deal through a set of mediaries, like the so-called nationalist parties in Jammu and Kashmir, the Abdullah family, the Hurriyat, Gilani Sahab, who has been lording it over Kashmir like a government in waiting, because he was so anointed by, the American ambassador, the former American secretary, I'll just get back to you with her name.
Right.
But she had been quite instrumental in saying that we'd have to accept the Hurriyat. And here was a ridiculous situation where the Indian intelligence was paying the Hurriyat and the Pakistanis were paying the Hurriyat, and there were a whole lot of do-gooders in India who were promising them that, the sky would be the limit and they could ask for anything. And, more or less suggesting that even Azadi or merger with Pakistan, at some stage the Indian government would give in. It was utter nonsense. If you are going to be so weak and pusillanimous, how do you expect to be taken seriously? The good news now is the government has asserted the will that India is there to stay. And you find that the people have adjusted. I mean, they were so unsure of which way to go so far that, they were on the horns of a dilemma. What if the Indian government goes away? They quite obviously had to suck up to all these separatists and terrorists and murderers, Now they know that the government of India means business. For the first time, we have deployed adequate troops in the valley. There is no problem anywhere else. Not in Ladakh, which is 60% of the territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Not in Jammu, not in Udhampur, not in Kathua, not in Rajouri, not in Puch, not in Doda, Kishtwar. The entire problem is confined to just 7% of the land area of the valley. That is the Kashmir valley, that is where the problem is.
Right.
And the problem is that in 1947-48, the valley had a Sufi Muslim syncretic culture, right? It was very tolerant and it was one of the havens of peace in that era of, bloodletting all over South Asia when the partition took place. Unfortunately, in the last 30 years, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia got together to thoroughly radicalize the valley, to Wahhabize the valley and turn it into one vast ghetto. We went along with this. The previous government, they went along.
We understand that.
And even when the BJP government came for the first time, they unfortunately got a fractured mandate, right? And they also then thought it would be better to give peace a chance, to give it a try. So Mehbooba Mufti, she became the chief minister and she was given the head to try and get peace back to the valley, and she said, I'll get the valley around. She proved to be a snake in the grass. This lady got the south of Kashmir evacuated. She got the troops pushed out of there, that they are annoying the people. Why is the army in the South Kashmir? It should be on the frontiers, on the borders, on the LC. And that our troop deployment was diluted there. And in that vacuum so created came Burhanwani, came Zahir Musa, came the ideas of the Caliphate, and then came Pulwama, because of which both countries had to nearly go to war. But with Pulwama, we drew a line in the sand. So far, for 30 years, we had been reactive and defensive. The first time the government hit back was in 2016 when we launched the surgical strike across the line of control. For 3-4 months, it has a salutary impact. Then Pakistan thought that is all that India would do, and it went right back to, doing what it was best at, creating mass casualty terrorist incidents. But when it did Pulwama and killed 45 CRPF troopers, India's patience just broke. Our people had silently been suffering. Nothing was done after 26/11 by the Congress government.
Absolutely.
Nothing. Zero. And it was so sad that what it implied was that Indian lives are so cheap that for the furthering the interest of some third country, a superpower in the region, we were prepared to sacrifice England. And do you know that 18,000 Indians have died in Pakistan's proxy war? 18,000. 21,000 in Punjab, 45,000 in J&K, 15,000 all over the country in bombing incidents. Thus far and no further, we have now put Pakistan on notice that if it tries anything of this sort again, we will retaliate across the border and make it pay a price. For the first time, of course, the Mehbooba Mufti government was dismissed, and when the Modi 2.0 government came back with a thundering majority, then they acted.
Right.
And they have acted very well and very proactively. We are extremely delighted, and the soldiers who have been fighting there, because we have shown the vision to anticipate what will happen when the American troops withdraw from Afghanistan. Where do you think the out-of-job Taliban cadres would be deployed by the ISI? In Kashmir, in the rest of India. So today we have thoroughly integrated Kashmir, and let me tell you, in the last 30 to 40 days, there has been more peace there than has been seen in the last 30 years. Because for the first time we have put adequate troops on the ground, adequate boots on the ground, and the valley is as peaceful as a lamb. Nothing will happen there, I can assure you. Right? If Pakistan tries to send in Punjabis or Pathans to carry out incidents, it will pay a bloody serious price.
Thank you so much, General Bakshi. Thank you so much, General Bakshi, on this insight. One question I want to know from you, being an armed forces professional, what is the spirit of the armed forces people now, ranging from a Sipahi to the general? What is their spirit? Because they were somewhere curtailed to perform their official duty in full spirit in Kashmir, with those gangs, stone pelters and everybody, and a lot of protests coming in. How is their sentiment? What do you feel?
Look, the army was doing a thankless job in Jammu and Kashmir. We were fighting with one arm tied behind our back. We were never allowed to use, and we did not want to use our full potential, military potential. We were very restrained, but even the normal force usage was being curtailed. And especially in the Mehbooba Mufti era, the armed forces were quite demoralized with the kind of, flack they were getting, with the kind of human rights tamashas that was being poured down on them, and the venom that the Mufti government was expressing in trying to, take them to the courts, take them over the court, and you risk your life and limb to do your job, and then you have to suffer court cases. You would appreciate that it will demoralize even the rest of army. It is only the Indian army which kept up its spirit and its morale. But now we are very happy that these stupid restrictions, uncalled for interference in operations by the likes of Mehbooba Mufti have been put an end to. And the armed forces are doing their job. You can see the results. The area is peaceful. Please understand, we are not, the armed forces, the security forces are not committing any violence against the civilians. They are safeguarding the civilians from violence. So if certain restrictions have to be put, they should be accepted with due grace. It is saving life. Would you like to hand over the streets of J&K to the stone pelters to kill, to maim, to wound? Would you like to hand over the streets of J&K to the people who would like to show the ISIS flag, the Pakistani flag? That no self-respecting government can accept that. And now, I think we have turned the corner. Things will only get better and better from here. Pakistan will have to live with J&K being an integral part of India, and if it pushes the envelope, it could end up losing POK and a lot more.
Thank you so much, General Bakshi. A great insight. I wanted that insight from you, especially because you have witnessed everything, and the spirit and sentiment of the Sena also needs to be, told to the people of the country, And what better than coming it from you, Bakshi ji. Now, we will further take on our conversation about the upcoming event where PM Modi is coming to the United States. General Bakshi, you were here in USA a few weeks back. So how did you find the public sentiment? In brief lines, I would like to know from you. And I also want to take a message from you about this upcoming event and the NRIs. For NRIs, what do you want to convey? When the Modi ji comes to the United States, what should their spirit be, and what should they take along in their memories when they go there?
What I want to state unequivocally is, we that is, self and my wife were deeply impressed by the spirit and the nationalism, the patriotism of our diaspora. Let me tell you, in many ways, I think it's far higher than we have seen even at home. Because distance lends enchantment to the view. The Indians there, they miss their motherland. They are keen to see that they don't lose touch with their roots. So I think they are very, very protective of their identity. And I found a level of self-assertion which was very heartening to see. They are no longer the very diffident, weak outsiders trying to blend seamlessly, harmlessly, disappear, not come into the view. I find them that they are one of the richest people in the United States, and they are confident, they are assertive, they can do a lot of good to their mother country, and they have been so doing. The Indian diaspora has always done great things by the country, the mother country. In World War I, in World War II, the revolutionary movements were launched by the diaspora. The INA was funded, raised, trained, etc., brought up by the diaspora in Southeast Asia. The diaspora in America had helped with other revolutionaries. So the point is, now the diaspora can play a very, very, positive role, an extremely positive role in the sense that they can contribute to the growth of the Indian economy, they can contribute to the betterment of Indo-American relations, they can help in the Make in India policy in trying to shift defense manufacture to the private sector. They have a great role to play, even as the Chinese diaspora has played a role in the Chinese economy, in the rise of the Chinese economy to the second largest economy in the world. The third largest will be the Indian, and the diaspora will play a major role. The role model for our diaspora should be the Israeli diaspora. Look how much they work for the betterment of their mother country. We should do likewise. For that, the diaspora will have to come together and not be fragmented on community lines and ethnic lines and language lines. We should act as Indians and not as people of Gujarat or Punjab or Kerala or Andhra or Telugu or whatever.
Absolutely.
We speak as Indians, act as Indians.
Thank you so much, General Bakshi, for this great insight and the strong message for the Indian diaspora who's there away from the motherland but is very well connected to the motherland. The respect, the love and affection of these Bharatiyas who are away from the motherland is very intact and very deep. And you have given us a special insight, great motivation in fact to the Indian diaspora through your words about unifying them on common grounds, calling them Indians rather than calling them Gujaratis or Delhiites or South Indians. So that's a strong message coming from you. Thank you so much for your time, General Bakshi. And I will take on the conversation further with my other guest here. And we are having a very, very special discussion here right now on the upcoming visit of Shri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, to the United States. And we had, had a very healthy information, in fact, discussion in the prior round of this, episode, where we got to know about the Kashmir, the Kashmiri Pandits, how they had to exort from, Kashmir in 1990. Archana ji was speaking about her first-hand account. Then we also spoke to Major General Dr. G.D. Bakshi about his stance on abrogation of Article 370 and 35A and how he had himself lived in Jammu and Kashmir, in Jammu rather, in his youth, and how he has served as an armed professional for the nation which was under too much of stress for many, many years. And right now also, he has given good message about how Indian diaspora is feeling about how he felt when he met them when he came to USA, and how the Indian diaspora should work out towards betterment of the nation. So in addition to this, of course, Ashwin Johar ji was throwing light about all the things that the plannings are in place for Modi ji's visit. He is the Central Committee member of Overseas Friends of BJP. So I will further go on to talk with Ashwin ji about more details about the PM Modi's visit. Ashwin ji, what is the duration of PM Modi visit, and what are the specific days which hold a very, very big importance in terms of interacting with the Indian diaspora and the UN?
See, Honorable Prime Minister will be reaching Houston on the evening of 21st, I hope, and 22nd we are having a grand event, as you all know, in NRG Stadium,
Right.
Houston. And after that, from 23rd onwards till 27th, Honorable Prime Minister will be in New York, and he will be addressing UN General Assembly on 27th. And before that, during this duration, he will be signing more than 20 bilateral agreements with the United States and
Right.
other engagements with, for example, leading business community leaders and CEOs of all the big companies
Okay.
and investors, because there's a huge trend going on amongst American investors to invest in India once Government of India has floated, and Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has floated a concept of Make in India
Right.
and serve the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
So, as you know that we are an advanced nation in terms of IT, and the production cost in India is lesser, so it has become a favorite destination. So Prime Minister will be meeting quite a few of leading CEOs of companies in United States.
Very nice. And of course, with all this positivity, coming along with PM Sir here, there is a little rumor or say that there are plans by the anti-India people. Specifically, if I speak about Pakistanis, the Pakistan nation, they are planning mass protest against PM Modi at different locations, be it the Howdy Modi event or the UN address. So we have heard that they are planning a protest, and in fact there are some ugly posters circulating on the social media about his visit, about Mr. Modi being called as a Hitler or whatever, I don't know. And in fact, Indians definitely would be feeling this, they are dismayed about it, of course. Do you feel that there would be a counter protest by Indians for this protest, or you would not do anything?
See, first of all, I would not like to talk about the protest, because these are restless souls which are left with nothing to just to protest, and we are used of it. And they come with small corners, and they hire some goons and do some stuff which is not good for the society. And I hope they will behave this time after their previous failed attempts to create a grand protest. And we are a very peaceful community, peaceful nation. Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is our mantra.
Absolutely.
The whole world is our family. So we do not believe in protest or counter protest. But let me tell you that thousands and thousands of people of Indian origin, people of Indian diaspora are reaching UN Assembly, UN General Assembly to
In
welcome
fact, you are quoting this event as Chalo UN, something like that, by Indian diaspora?
It is Chalo UN. The Chalo UN is all about welcoming our beloved leader after the abolition of Article 370. And specifically, I would like to mention that a large number of Kashmiri diaspora, like people of Kashmir origin, who have not been heard before. There's a society, as Archana ji has mentioned, which has gone unheard before Modi ji came to the power, and they are coming specifically to thank Honorable Prime Minister Modi, and thousands of other community leaders and community people are coming to UN to welcome Honorable Prime Minister Modi, not for the counter protest. Protest is we leave up to the restless souls. Let them do whatever they want to do.
Very nice. In fact, what we have witnessed lately in London, the protesters, how they disfigured the entrance of the Indian consulate, and while there were Indian independence celebrations, there was too much of distortion, like damage that they did, and they hurt some people also. So what is your take on that? Of course, I mean, people all over the world, the Indian diaspora is feeling the heat of this. I mean, they are not very happy about it. What needs to be fixed? What do you feel about that?
I think, as I said, that we are a peaceful community. We always place our point of opinion very peacefully across the table. But this anti-India lobby, which you said, that which is being supported by Pakistan, these are hired goons of Pakistan agencies and few other people.
Right.
But who are trained to do certain things.
Right,
but
right,
because these countries like United States and United Kingdom, their security agencies are very active and they take care of the measures. Otherwise, they could have created hell out of the things here.
Good. Thank you so much for.
Yeah, I would like to thank the London police and other agencies who are controlling. But yes, as far as London is concerned, we think the precautionary measures should have been taken.
Understood.
And the similar things now, US is aware of that. What happened in London.
That's what the whole idea is.
Precautionary measures will be taken at the UN, keeping these protests in mind.
We want to ensure that all security is there and all safe measures are there. See, there is a spirit of celebration. Indian diaspora is definitely coming. It is coming to the UN in New York, and definitely there is a fanfare for Modi ji being a tallest leader right now, having taken the biggest step, in the history of the Indian political system. Even nobody dared to do that what Mr. Modi has done. So definitely we look forward for the security of each and everyone who goes to celebrate this occasion. And having said that, in addition to Ashwin ji's comments and everything, we have our another esteemed guest right now who would be coming on phone with me right now. The guest is Mr. Shalabh Kumar, also known as Shali Kumar, the founder of the Republican Hindu Coalition, and he is a son of a freedom fighter himself and has been very vocal in a lot of things that pertain to the the betterment of Indian nation in terms of the security. He has had done some initiatives here back in US while stressing upon the administration taking certain steps that would defy the ulterior motives of the nation who sponsors terrorism. So let's hear it from Mr. Shalabh Kumar. Shalabh Kumar.
Thank you for having me join the show.
Shaliji, as you are aware, you have played definitely a major role in the previous past, which we'll explore later. But yes, you are aware that there are protests being planned against PM Modi's visit by the Pakistani people and some anti-Modi people, So what is your take on that?
Well, the new Prime Minister of Pakistan is quite a showman. He comes from a different industry rather than politics as usual. So he is a cricketer and highly connected with UK. Had 3 wives, I believe, from UK, and so forth. So he's a pretty good PR person, and he wants to use this occasion to himself and elevate the position of Pakistan in the world by this excuse of abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. And the rumor on the street is that Pakistan is funding the protests in a major way.
Okay.
So they will be particularly in Houston. They were almost going to spend $4 to $5 million in getting 10 to 15,000 people outside the stadium to protest against Prime Minister Modi.
Why would they spend $4 to $5 million on bringing protesters? I'm just surprised.
Well, I mean, that's a small piece. That's not a whole lot of money. If you remember back.
No, you mean to say, are they buying the protesters?
Well, I mean, that costs money. Sure, it's like the rumor again. Not confirmed, but the rumor is $200 plus expenses.
Seriously? $200 plus expenses, the rumor?
Yeah, the rumor is $200. Yes, from all over the United States, and they're going to pretend to be Kashmiris who cannot reach their families. So it's going to be a pretty big show they are going to put up there with the likes of CNN, MSNBC, and all the left-wing media, catering to that, and so there will be a lot more coverage outside the stadium in Houston, and probably the same way in New York, than inside. So because the media always looks for controversy anyway. So if you got 10 to 15,000, they got a license, or a permit. They got a permit to bring in 10,000 people, but who counts? So expectation is there will be about 15,000 people from the Pakistani side that will be protesting against the activities going on inside.
Well, Indians are in the spirit of euphoria and very, very positive sentiment. So I'm pretty sure the voices would be subdued and the right cheer for the right reason, for the nation that houses Kashmir, that is India, that is our part of our country. So we wouldn't let it go anywhere with the wrong information for sure. I believe the Indian diaspora has a very strong sentiment, Shaliji. So having said that, Shalabh, you've been very well connected with the Trump administration from those circles. How do you feel, or what is the sentiment of the administration on all this, abrogation of Article 370, 35A, in the circles of the Congress? What is the sentiment there? I would like to know from you.
The President is very clear on the issue, and he has a great relationship with Prime Minister Modi, and the position is very clear on the part of the administration that it was an internal matter, and India had every right to abrogate 370 and 35A, and the President and his team, they're all very confident that there will be a dramatic improvement in the lives of all Kashmiris after this August 5th move. So they're pretty confident that there will be a lot of growth. Kashmir over the last 72 years, that will be over, and all the laws which have passed in India over the past 70 years, they will be applicable to J&K, or now Kashmir and Ladakh, and there will be a lot of investment flowing into the state, and I'm quite intimately involved with Kashmiri Pandits, as my brother-in-law himself is a Kashmiri Pandit. He was just 3 years old when the Pakistani army, under the Operation Gulmarg, started in February of 1947, attacked what is now known as the Pakistan occupied Pak, and he was 3 years old, and he got separated from his parents at that time. Manohar Sharma, Mani Sharma, he's known as, and so then he was fortunate that they connected back in Poonch. Otherwise he would not be alive today. So I have a lot of connectivity with again the Kashmiri Pandits, and know the affairs of what went on then, and then what went on in 1991, that January 19th night, which was a abysmal night.
Right.
And so what Prime Minister Modi has done is obviously the first Prime Minister who had the courage to remove this injustice, and I'm positive that there will be a huge progress in that state. The Kashmiri Pandits, they will be, a lot of them will be going back. This was a state where there were very hardworking people, besides the environment, besides the valley, Switzerland of India, and so people with some pretty high IQ and hardworking, and when they are finally freed up, this will be a great state.
Thank you so much,
there will
Shalabh.
be a lot of investment there in Ladakh as well.
Thank you so much for your insight and inputs. One final message would you like to give to the Indian diaspora here about these upcoming events and the people participation? What would you like to tell the audience?
Both in Houston and in New York, pay attention to what is going on outside, not necessarily inside. We are not expecting the Pakistani people, because it is for a show, to be rowdy or like in London, violent or anything. They will be just pretending to tell sorry state of affair for them, to get the sympathy from general to mass of American public who does not know anything about these issues. So that's their aim, and through that to influence members of Congress. That's a very simple ploy they have. So the Indian diaspora, Hindu Americans, Indian Americans, and whether the Hindu Americans, whether they are from India or not, just from overall, all over the world, who are settled here, Kashmiri Pandits, they should all be out there, and there are able people who are organizing both the Houston event and the New York event, and be available to show in numbers. Let them be talking to, again, the media channels, the CNN and so forth. So there will be at least a counter viewpoint which will be presented to American public.
Thank you so much for this insight and the strong message. Thank you, Shalabh, for your time, and we'll further take on this conversation. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Right.
This was Mr. Shalabh Kumar, founder of RXC, Republican Hindu Coalition, and also a very big industrialist here in USA. He has many patents to his name, and very innovative person. Had been very vocal into the active advocacy for the legal immigrants also in the United States. In fact, for the Indian diaspora, people who come here on H-1B visas, he has spoken for their rights here because they are stuck in green card backlog. So he definitely, tries to fight for them. These people are waiting for almost 150 years of wait time for their green card, despite being legal and legitimate and contributing to the economy and the technology of this country. So thanks, Shalabh, for your time. In fact, now Ashwin and Archana, in fact, the program is running, we consume a lot of time, and of course I still want to talk a lot of things, but having said that, I want to know some more details specifically about the representation of the Kashmiri Pandits towards these events, and are there any specific groups involved where people are coming in numbers and actually standing tall for the rebuttal for those people who want to do protest, saying our brothers are in trouble, because they themselves are the brothers and sisters who are here. And not just the Kashmiri Pandits. Having said that, we have Kashmiri Muslims as well, who are definitely not happy about the fake media or fake news that Pakistan is spreading about, that there is a discontent in Kashmiri people while all that curfew and everything had been levied in the last few days.
See, as Shalabh Kumarji has told, that these Pakistani sponsored goons who pretend to be Kashmiris, in fact, if there would be any check, you won't find any Kashmiri in that crowd. Let me assure you that they make it look like Kashmiri. But on the other hand, as you asked from our side, we are not entering into any rebuttal, any counter protest, nothing. We are a civilized community, and we are there to welcome. And Indian diaspora will be there to welcome their beloved Prime Minister, who has taken this daring step to abrogate Article 370 and Section 335A.
Right.
So I think if they will be trying to do something nasty, as it has been heard through the rumors,
right,
I hope that American agencies and security agencies are capable enough to handle them. So We are not entering into any rebuttal. We are not
Right.
entering into any counter protest. We are just going to be there in big numbers, and especially as you asked, Kashmiri diaspora. See, people of Kashmir origin, Kashmiri NRIs, they're living in big numbers, as Archana ji has told that this exodus happened in 1990.
Right.
And I appreciate the spirit of this community, which had to flood their homes in
Right.
30 years back, and after that they spread all across the world for the sake of their survival, for the sake of their existence, for their growth. And now you go to UK, US, Australia, you will find people of Indian origin from Kashmir have done wonders. And now then, after 30 years, they know that they see the ray of hope going back to their parental houses, going back to their parental places, villages. They see a ray of hope, and they are going
Very
to be
nice.
there in big numbers to thank their beloved Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Ashwin ji. So, Archana ji, now finally from a Kashmiri Pandit, feeling home, that feeling of being at home, how strong it is, not just for you, for all your, remember your childhood neighbors, your friends, your family members, your relatives. Revisit for once. I had goosebumps listening to your entire fact,
Yeah.
the story, the fact files. Message to them as well. How do you feel with this Article 370 going away? Gives the freedom or the betterment to the Kashmiris, you being a Kashmiri. Let it go to the world through your words.
Okay. So to begin with, Article 370 and 35A were basically goodies that were given to a very small section of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. They were just Kashmiri Muslims. Kashmir in itself is an area where we have Ladakh, geographically a huge area, Jammu and its surrounding areas, again another huge area, and then as Major Bakshi said, only 7% of Jammu and Kashmir is the Valley of Kashmir.
Right.
Imagine all the goodies going to that 7%, and the rest of the state was ignored. 370 and 35A were very, they provided much less incentives for Kashmiri Pandits, for the Ladakhis, and for Dogras. And for years together, in spite of the fact that the governments knew that, all the power and incentives were given to a very small section.
Right.
With the removal of this, of course, now we can see that the areas that have been ignored in Kashmir, the Ladakh area, the Jammu areas, and the areas of Doda, Bhadrava, they will see economic boom now. And those people will get benefit from what they have been rightly devoid of. The growth in India has not translated into the growth in Jammu and Kashmir just because of these two articles.
Right.
And what it has done is it has created a very safe haven for the cross-border terrorism. Obviously, it hasn't brought the valley much benefit. Having said that, I do want to, from the Kashmiri Pandit diaspora in this country, I want to let you know that we are meeting with the Prime Minister,
Very
and
nice.
he will be meeting a delegation
Nice.
in Houston,
Okay.
and we will be there to thank him and tell him how grateful we are that he made us visible. He heard our story.
Right.
He made at least identify the wrongdoings for the past 30 years. He is at least trying to integrate Kashmir with the broader India, and
Right.
he is trying to make a pathway for us to go back home. So
Nice.
we are eternally grateful for this man who is a visionary for India, and we hope and pray that he succeeds in all his missions. Having said that, I just want to make a comparison between these protesters who are coming in numbers, and as Ashwin ji said, that I doubt if any of them is a Kashmiri Muslim. They're all possibly paid agents, but here's a couple of things that I want to compare and tell the people who, especially media, who will be covering these people, and those ones who are questioning India's commitment to Kashmir. I want to just draw a comparison between that. So we are protesting here, the protesters are protesting that these people cannot communicate with their families, and their families have been put under curfew, or let's say a clampdown by the government. So ask this: why is the government doing it? It is doing it to protect the lives and safeguard the properties of people in Kashmir. And if they don't do that, the terrorists and the miscreants will come and they'll damage the property and they will kill these people. There'll be chaos on the streets. The government does not want that. It's a responsible government and a responsible step taken by the government. Now, go back 1990 when we were there, and at that time a government did not protect its residents. We fled in masses, close to about 450,000 in 6 months. The government was blind to that. We were killed, raped, massacred in streets. Our eyes were gouged out. The government was silent at that time. There were so many atrocities done on Kashmiri Pandits and minorities by the majority and the terroristic network in Kashmir Valley. The government was silent at that time. Where was the media? If that was not human rights abuse, do you think this is, where people cannot use a cell phone and internet for 2 weeks?
True.
Is that human rights abuse?
Absolutely not.
And if that is human rights abuse, then all the media and the pseudo-liberals who are discussing this at this time, they need to get their facts checked. We're not talking about hundreds and thousands of years of history. We're talking about 30 years of history. Go back and get your facts together before you say that what is happening in Kashmir today is human rights abuse. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Archana ji. Dr. Johar, Ashwin Johar ji, very, very nice discussion with you, and we see a lot of positive sentiment, of course, in the Indian diaspora with the participation and everything. Thank you for your time, for coming here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been doing a lot of good work here. In fact, back from India till here, and then we'll go back again.
But I would like to mention one thing which Major General Bakshi has mentioned, that the world should consider the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits during 1990 should be declared as genocide.
Absolutely.
Should be declared as genocide, because again, we are a peaceful community. That's why I think this was taken for a ride. But now this is a different India. We need to look at it with a right perspective. And the second thing about Pakistan, I again taking a chance to extend this program. See, talking of Kashmir, Pakistan has created problems on both sides of the borders. For last 30, 40 years or 50 years, they have been reciting this name called Kashmir, making fool of their people for the sake of power, attaining power, and terrorists on the other side. So basically they have created trouble on the both sides, but we are washing out our troubles. I think they should take care of their own trouble rather than reciting Kashmir. So Kashmir is an integral part of India, so they should now consider about their health.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, Ashwin ji. Archana ji, thank you so much. Very, very, it was a very sad insight, rather, I'll say. I had goosebumps listening to the entire story all throughout, and I can relate how much of pain you have. Thankfully, you were still the better person. You were lucky ones to have survived and made it through to USA, and you're practicing physician here.
Absolutely.
Imagine about people who are still living in ignominious conditions, bad conditions, and still have not been able to make it up to where they belong. So, I wish you a great time together, meeting PM Modi, arranging the whole event, and definitely media participation would be there. And here to our audience, thank you so much for being part of this very healthy discussion and insights that you got from our people. This is first-hand account that definitely has a very strong impetus that can make people aware of what is right, what is fact, what is fake, what is myth. Keep watching us, NRI Live. This was for today. Next time we'll come again. God bless. Thank you so much.